West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live call-in show, the Monday Night MashUp. The time is 20 minutes past 10. You see tonight's show? It's not going any longer than 40 minutes. 40. It's not going any longer than that. You see today's one? This one is what we call a make your point and just jump off. Not even 5 minutes. Just make your point, 2 minutes and jump off, because I'm not well enough. I'm not well enough for this show to go past 40 minutes. So at 11 o'clock UK time, we will lock this show off. So anyone who's in the long talking bangaram, none of that today. We got to make the points quick, and we got to keep it moving. Anyways, I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Welcome back to the Monday night call-in show. Like up the live, share the live, subscribe to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You done know already. What's good? What's new? Today we've had the start of the Women's Super 50. Actually, I haven't even looked to see. I know Windwards beat Leewards. I think Jamaica beat Trinidad, and I presume that Barbados beat Guyana. I didn't actually wait to see how the matches officially ended. I know Jamaica were cruising to a win, but I don't know if Barbados saw it over the line against Guyana, but I presumed that they did. A couple of strong performances from a few individuals. Janilla Glasgow hitting a 50. Alira Lane hit a 50 for Barbados. Stefani Taylor's back for Jamaica. Afi Fletcher took a fifer. So the things were happening. That I'll properly dissect it later on in the week. Obviously, there's matches going on throughout the week. As Truth says, there was a regional T20 draft for the Caribbean T20, which actually starts at the back end of April. As soon as the West Indies Championship is done, the regional Caribbean T20 starts. If you haven't seen the news about that, people, so just to kind of clear up some rules about that people might not have seen, we tweeted it the other day, but I don't know how many people are on Twitter. So teams, every franchise every territory, can only have 3 players between the ages of 27 to 29. No players who have played more than, is it 10? No players who have played more than, I swear it's 10, or did I read 40? Anyways, if you played a significant number of internationals, you're not allowed to play in the tournament. Every territory is allowed to protect 7 players from their territory only. So, for example, Trinidad can pick 7 Trinis that they can protect who are free from the draft. You're allowed 14 players in your squad. So Trinidad, for example, have already protected Jid Gooley, Amir Jangu, Camille Pooran, Cephas Cooper, Joshua James. Is it Baidasu, I think, is the leg spinner, and one other person, I can't remember now off the top of my head. So Trinidad, for example, those are their 7 protected players for the Caribbean T20, and one of them has to be a local leg spinner. Every territory has to protect a local leg spinner. And 2 of your 14-man squad have to come from outside your territory. I think those are the main rules that are kind of significant to it. So in short, it's very much a Caribbean domestic T20. International players won't be in it unless there's someone like Amir Jangu, who's only got 2 international caps. Only people with limited international caps are allowed to get selected. So it's essentially a 26 and under Caribbean T20 tournament. Which again, if you've been watching Caribbean Cricket Podcast for long enough, do you know what? Obviously, I'm not going to try and be dunce and bossy, but I am also going to make this point all the same. Caribbean Cricket Podcasts, and to be fair, Karen Pollard was making this point, but Caribbean Cricket Podcasts, I think, was the first major Caribbean outlet to openly speak about we need a Caribbean T20 tournament. We were talking about this 2 years ago. Never mind even last year. We were making this point, myself and Santoki, 2 years ago, that CPL was done out here and that CPL was relying on veteran players. And we'd said openly 2 years ago, there has to be a Caribbean T20 tournament, because if there isn't one, CPL 2 years from now is going to be struggling, and it's going to be some old man tournament with no new talent coming through. So said, so done. Now we get to 2025. All of a sudden now Caribbean domestic T20 tournament is happening. So when I say to people sometimes Cricket West Indies should actually hire me, I'm not saying it for jokes. I'm not actually saying it for jokes. I'm saying it for real. Like, I know the accent throws some people and they want to do the Englishman thing, but when it comes to this cricket chat thing, and I'm gonna be bossy, when it comes to this cricket chat thing, I'm talking about real things that need to happen in West Indies cricket, real tangible things that need to happen. Who else in the Caribbean has spoken about the need to reach out to the diaspora? Who else has spoken about it? Miles came on the show. He said, no, it's not something that Cricket West Indies is doing. Mark my words. 2 years from now, Cricket West Indies is going to be actively looking for diaspora. Look at that. I just see Cricket West Indies just shut down my broadcast. But 2 years from now, Cricket West Indies is going to be looking at diaspora players. And I'm going to be reminding people. Do you remember when we were talking about it on CCP ages ago as something that should be done? Anyways, I've done talk. Let's take this comment away. So anyway, so the time is 26 minutes past 10. It's a quick call-in show today because I've got things to do, like go to my bed. Let's see, what comments have I missed? How many territories? Obama says, how many territories? There's 6 teams. What are their names again? Let me give you the names because I found the names funny. Somebody's called Pelicans. I feel like Jamaica are called Jamaica Pelicans. Let me give you the names again. I was tweeting about this the other day. Let me find this. Bear with me, people. Let me find these names. So the six franchise teams in the tournament are as follows. Can I even find it? See what I mean? I should have had this queued up beforehand. Can't even find the thing now. Bloodfire. Here we go. Right. So the 6 names are as follows on the. So we've got Barbados Pelicans, Guyana Caimans. What's a Cayman? Caimans. Is that an animal in Guyana? Guyana Caimans. What the hell is a Cayman? Anyone? Is there any Guyanese in the live today? What's a Cayman? Caiman. That's what Guyana's team is called. Jamaica Titans. Leeward Islands Thunder, Windward Islands Infernos. Who's missing? What's Trinidad called? Oh, Trinidad and Tobago Legions. Okay, so if you didn't hear that, these are the 6 teams in the domestic Caribbean tournament. It starts on April the 25th, by the way. So Trinidad and Tobago Legions, Barbados Pelicans, Guyana Caimans, Jamaica Titans, Leeward Islands Thunder, and Windward Islands Infernos. So that's the name of the 6 territories for this domestic Caribbean tournament. Thank you to all the Guyanese who have told me that a Cayman is an alligator. So a baby alligator. So that's the Guyanese team in this tournament. So, yeah, let's see. Any other questions before I start? Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me read out the rules again. So each team will have 14 players. So I just forgot I had it in front of me, so I can read it to you all. Each team will have 14 players, all of who must be under 30 by the end of the tournament. Teams are allowed to select 3 players who are 27 to 29. Of the 7 protected picks reserved to each franchise, 1 player must be a wrist spinner. To qualify to participate in the tournament, all players must have fewer than 10 T20 international caps and less than 40 list day T20s. So I take that to mean less than 40. I don't even know what they're classing as list day T20s. CPL? So to play in the tournament, you must have less than 10 T20 international caps and less than 40, I presume, CPL appearances, because I don't know what else they're counting as list day T20, because obviously that they can't be included in all those down bad T20 nonsense competitions that they have in each island nowadays, Dream 11, whatever it is, or whatever. So that's how you qualify to play in the tournament. So, and here's the joke, right? I'm telling you lot that news. Cricket West Indies ain't even let anyone know that that's the rules. Imagine you've got Caribbean Cricket Podcast telling people these are the rules for our domestic tournament before Cricket West Indies have even told everyone what the rules are for the domestic tournament. Like, come on, man, we got to do better than that. Yeah, I can try and say CCP is like a proper media outlet, but how are we breaking that to the wider public before Cricket West Indies are breaking that? So O'Shane Sullivan says a record list day is recognized T20 leagues. So yeah, so that would mean then that someone like Matthew Ford can't play then, right? Because surely he's played 40 list day T20 games around the world by now, including CPL. So that would mean that Matthew Ford can't play, right? That's why I'm saying I don't know what Cricket West Indies are classing as list day T20s. Anyways, whatever. We'll soon see who these teams draft. Other than that, what else has happened this week? Puran trolled everyone over cricket, over playing in whites. He was playing for Clark Road United locally in Trinidad in their 2-day red ball competition that they have. I did a video on Brandon King, and this caused a whole bunch of people to get in the comments and say Brandon King shouldn't be in the West Indies test side. I don't know what you lot want. Like, I don't know what you lot want from me. Like, I don't know what you lot want from me. When I did that video on Brandon King, to me, that weren't even that deep. Like, to me, it was such a obvious thing to do a video on. To me, it's such a no-brainer that, and I'm actually used to people getting in CCP comments nowadays and saying, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, X, Y, Z. I'm used to it by now. But the Brandon King one shocked me a bit. Like, I don't think you lot appreciate how down bad we are, right? We're down bad. We're down horrendous. So when people are coming back to me saying, what has Brandon King done to deserve to play a test match? I couldn't actually believe people were saying it to me. Before you look at our top 7 and go, none of them average over 30, people are coming to me to say, what has Brandon King done to deserve a chance? And all I wanted to say to people was, look at our top 7. I shouldn't even have to explain to you why Brandon King should get a chance. Just look at our top 7. Go and look at the top 7 averages for the whole of 2024 and then come back to me and tell me why Brandon King shouldn't get a chance. Everyone else is getting a chance. Everyone else is getting a chance. So why can't he get a chance? Here's something. You speak to any Jamaican who knows their cricket, and all of us will say without fail, none of us could believe that Kurt McKenzie got into the West Indies test match team before Brandon King got into the West Indies test match team. And that's from Jamaicans. That's from us. That's from us lot. That's our own country people. And we were looking at Kurt getting in going, what on earth is going on? We got Brandon King right there, and you're giving Kurt McKenzie. Someone's playing with my internet today, boy. Internet is down horrendous today. Right. Anyways, let me put this link in the chat. Internet's down bad today. Ducking and diving, boy. Right. Let me get this link up, anyways. Right. And remember, people, I'm being serious. I'm being serious, people. No long thing. We have to end at 11 o'clock. Let me get the timer up. Last week, about 10 people wanted to come on and chat live, but that can't happen today because I have to go to my bed. So this is a real quick show today. Where's my stopwatch? I don't even think I'm giving you lot 5 minutes. I think I'm going to give you lot like 3 minutes. How do I even? I'm a real uncle out here. I don't even know how to change my timer. Yeah, I'm giving you like 3 minutes today to make a point. We ain't got time for 5-minute conversations. We haven't got time for that. 3 minutes and no more to make a point. Because see, when it hits 11 o'clock, we're logging off. Anyways, links in the chat. Whoever wants to come in and call do your thing. 3 minutes, no more. I need to boost this internet. Internet's moving booky. Internet's moving over booky today. Right, okay. Right, fireballs up first. No long thing. Let's just get moving straight into this. Right, let's bring Fireball on 1 second. Here we go. Yes, Fireball, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mash. I'm doing good. There's not much to really talk about. There is the truck driver mashing up the pitch.
Oh, I forgot about that one, you know.
There's Puran playing 2-day cricket. The women's Super 50s going on. But one thing I want to talk about, and I talked about this before in the live stream, but I think it bears repeating. My God, the few uncles that still follow West Indies cricket, the majority of them. And not all uncles. There's some good men in the 50s and 60s actually getting on with the times that follow West Indies cricket. But these uncles live in the past, you know. They live in the past. The uncles that move on, like my father, your father, they moved on decades ago.
Yeah.
So the ones that are hanging on is praying for the good days. But and I'm still having this 1980s way of thinking when it comes to cricket. I'm like,
yeah. Thing is, I don't know where the line is, and I'm going to put it on you. I'm going to throw you under the bus here. I don't know where the line is, so I'm going to be completely transparent to the listeners. In the Discord, Fireball knows what I'm talking about. In the Discord earlier today, I put a comment in the Discord group where I said, "Do you think the West Indies cricket public are the way they are because the majority of them are still dining out on when we were good in the 80s and therefore are stubborn? Is it because they've now got too old for the modern day version of what cricket is? Or are we as a Caribbean people wrong and strong and we love to be dunce and bossy with our opinions and not listen to when people present facts? Or is it just the times we now live in? Everyone's got access to social media. So whereas before you could ignore a man because he'd just be the man shouting in the rum shop, now you actually need to hear what they're saying on social media. Which one is it, Fireball?
I think it's a mix of the three. These uncles, it tend to be older Caribbean gentlemen. Notice I said gentlemen, not women. It's usually a man thing, a patriarchal thing.
Yes,
Long and strong. Nobody can argue with me. It's usually men in their 50s and 60s.
Everyone's going to unsubscribe today, you know.
I might hit some people in the fields. I'm not saying all, but one of them, their partners, it's in modern times, their partners can leave them. They can be alone in their house. They're bored. They're in Facebook groups, you know, conjugating.
Boy.
It's a mix of the three. And I'm not trying to call. I know some of you guys are happily married and still bitter. But, you know.
Nah, Fireball, you're about to get everyone. Everyone's about to unsubscribe from CCP. You know. Let me try to defend the uncles. How do we know that some of the uncles aren't experiencing and this is a serious thing. I've wondered this for a while now. I reckon a lot of West Indian uncles, Caribbean uncles, are suffering the equivalent of Gulf War syndrome when it comes to West Indies. It's real, they're experiencing real generational trauma. Because think about it. Imagine as a young youth growing up in the 70s and 80s, right? You see a team that looks like you from your part of the world, just dominating everybody, everywhere you go in the world, domination, like the New Zealand rugby team, like any kind of generational franchise team in any sport, just pure domination, 15 years straight. And you see that as a young youth, it gives you a real sense of identity and proud to be from the Caribbean. Then you grow to be an old man and the team sucks worse than than you could ever have possibly imagined. So you've gone to the greatest high, and now you're at the lowest low. I've sometimes wondered if some of our uncles are just suffering from like I say, the equivalent of West Indies Gulf War syndrome.
That's a good point. It could be the case, but I would also want to see the equivalent of West Indies fan, like a HSV fan in Germany, a PSV fan in they're doing good in Champions League now, a PSV fan in Amsterdam. Not Amsterdam, in Netherlands, sorry. I mean, not get killed by Dutchmen too. Nottingham Forest fans, because those are the type of clubs that were good in Europe when West Indies were good. That tells you how much tonky he is. Because I know some youth men do not know that these teams are European champions. HSV could say, boy, we beat you just 5-1 in the European Cup. That was when West Indies was dominating. That if I tell a youth man that this team in Bundesliga 2 used to make Real Madrid piss down their pants, people look at me like a dotish.
So what's the answer?
I mean, therapy, man. So cricket, like it's like watching I can't say AFT because Arsenal's never as good as West Indies. West Indies basically like the Nottingham Forest, like the HSV, like the Celtic of the day. They were running things when they were on top.
Yeah.
Now they're basically like HSV in Bundesliga 2, suffering. But HSV better than us. HSV actually had the supporters still. They're still back in HSV. We losing.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the thing is, my dad just stopped watching. He just as soon as they turned terrible, like properly terrible, he just tapped out and said, "I'm not watching this anymore."
My dad stopped watching too. The 07 World Cup happening. My dad didn't care. 07 World Cup as a kid, the man didn't give a crap. I was like, the man done. The man was done before I was like, I could probably form sentences. It was done.
So why are you watching? Because you've never even seen us do anything good.
I'm watching because it is a connection to the region. It's the only major connection I have to the Caribbean region. Like I said before, cricket connects us. Strong connects us. Even in our down bad era, connects us more than CARICOM ever will.
True.
It outlasted the Federation. I respect it, man. Even if it's down bad, even if they don't make me question life, which would not be able to defend 374 against a weakened Netherlands team, I'll still back them.
We got no other choice. We got no other choice.
They unite the region together. I will never talk to men from like Saint Martin and
True. That's a good point, That's a very good point. It's the only thing in the region that gives us a genuine point or reason, I should say, to converse with people from the other islands and feel like they're brethren and sisterins of ours, if that makes sense. I
don't get off my soapbox. I don't want to keep you here longer. It's a reason why Dominican Republic, Cuba, and even the Bahamas don't have a connection to the rest of the region like the West Indian nations. Because they have that disattachment. A YouTuber I watched, a Bahamian YouTuber, talked about how the Bahamas not playing in the West Indies kind of disconnected themselves from the Caribbean due to that important chain not being created. So I could go on long.
That's a really good point. Listen, I'm going to go to the next caller, but something you just said there, I'm going to now put into the chat because I want you to continue this conversation in the chat because I'm about to raise a really good point here.
Yeah, man.
All right, then. Cool. Thank you, Bible.
No problem, man.
Much appreciated. Obama Prosper, you're up next. But before I get to Obama Prosper, something that Fireball just said there, and I want to see what people say in the chat about this. Do you consider, to the people of the Caribbean, do you consider Haiti, Bahamas, Cuba, Bermuda, Dominican Republic, do you consider those places part of the Caribbean? Because I think Fireball makes a point there. Because cricket, to me, is the thing that I consider that is the thing that binds the Caribbean together for me. I don't consider DR part of the Caribbean. It is obviously geographically. I'm not talking about. So before people say yes, because everyone's going to say yes, I'm talking obviously geographically they are. That's not my point. It's not about geographically. I'm talking about, do you see them as your brethren and sisterin? When you see them, when you speak to a man from DR or a woman from DR, are you like, oh, that's my Caribbean brethren? When you speak to a Bahamian, do you see them as part of your Caribbean brethrenhood or sisterhood? I don't. I think lots of you are lying. I don't. Geographically, yes. Culturally, no. Like, what you lot are pretending. No, what? No, I think you lot are pretending. I don't speak to a Bermudan or a Bahamian and go, yeah, you're one of us. You lot might. I personally don't. And don't even try and pretend you lot see Haitians as part of the Caribbean community. When bare time, when Haitians land in your country, you man want to fight them down. See, what, you thought this was a cricket show? We could get political here. We could get political. When Venezuelans touch down in Trinidad and Guyana, you lot want to fight them man down. So, and they're right next to you. They're literally right next to you. We can turn political, you know. I can turn this one political. You lot weren't ready for me to do this to you. I'm gonna turn this one political. Guyanese don't even consider themselves Caribbean, much less. When get a Guyanese man angry and they'll tell you that they're not even in the Caribbean. We can turn this one political, you know. We can turn this one real political. Cuba, I do. So interested. Now, I think that's because, as a Jamaican, I see Cuba as the island closest to Jamaica. And yes, them man speak Spanish, but I actually see Cuba. I legitimately see Cuba as I see the people from Cuba as Caribbean brethren, irrespective of the language difference. But I've never really seen it with like Bahamas and Bermuda and DR and them man. Maybe I'm being dunce and bossy. I don't know. There are a couple like Jamaicans in the chat. Don't try and pretend you know. Don't try and pretend that I'm talking nonsense here. When I was last in Jamaica, when was it? When was the last in Jamaica? Was it last year? It was either last year or it was at the back end of 2023. When I was last in Jamaica, there was a story on TVJ, for those of you who aren't Jamaican, that's like one of our key channels, right? And it was about some Haitians that had landed on one of the beaches in Jamaica. And the way the story was being reported, like I think they spoke to some of the locals and they were treating the Haitians as if the Haitians were duppies. Is there any Jamaicans in the chat? Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying, people. Tell me I'm lying. I was watching the news and they were speaking to the locals. I can't remember which community in Jamaica it was. And they were talking about the Haitian arrivals like them man were duppies and that they'd come to haunt the community. I am not joking you. I'm not making this up. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I was watching it with my two eyes on TV going, rah, we obviously don't see these men. Obviously, we don't see these men as brethren then. I'm lying, I'm dying. Anyways, see what I mean? See, this ain't Caribbean Cricket Podcast. This ain't the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I can take this social, I can take this cultural, I can take this political. Sheila's boy child. Yeah, Sheila's boy child. I knew I wasn't making this up. It was Portland. They landed in Portland. A man was cussing, saying, what these Haitians doing here? We need to deport them. X, Y, Z. Isn't that how Trini and Guyanese man treat the Venezuelans as well? I'll take this one social. I'll take this one political. I'll take this one cultural. Anyways, let's move. Let's move before you lot get vexed at me. One love to everyone, though. One love, because I don't want you lot to get this. I don't want you lot to get this twisted. I'm not saying that they aren't Caribbean. Geographically, They are all Caribbean, and one love to all my Caribbean brethren. But I am saying, and I'm coming off the back of Fireball's point, that the West Indies cricket team is the one thing that truly connects people to the Caribbean. And I don't think the average person in the Caribbean looks at countries like DR and says, yeah, they're my Caribbean brethren. I don't think you lot do. I just don't think you do. But one love all the same. One love. Obama Prosper, you're up next. See what I mean? I've started a madness in the chat. I should have shut my mouth, you know. I've started an absolute. I'm seeing some of the comments and I've started a madness. Right. What you I could do a call-in show. Yes, right. So Vanetta, good point from Vanetta. So Vanetta, see, Vanetta, I'm trying to move the point on, but Vanetta says, but Venezuela is not in the Caribbean. Exactly, right? But geographically, Venezuela borders Guyana. And Guyana's in the Caribbean. Now comes the Guyanese to say, no, we're not in the Caribbean, but we consider Guyana to be part of the Caribbean, right? Venezuela borders Guyana, and Venezuela's just over the water from Trinidad. But you put some Venezuelans in Guyana and Trinidad, and man want to start war over it. So do you see what I mean? Like, anyways, nations are just lines drawn in the sand. We could talk about that, but let me not get political. Right, let's move on. Obama Prosper. I teach politics A-level, people, by the way, if you didn't know. For those of you who don't know what A-level is, that's like 16 to 18. That's the subject that I teach. I teach politics, citizenship, and history. So if you've always wondered why I am the way I am, those are the subjects I actually teach. Right. Obama Prosper, let's move. Next caller. Yes, Obama, how you doing?
Hey, Mash, good night. I'm alright, man. How you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I've started a political war in the chat, so let's talk cricket.
Yep, yeah, that's the thing. You have, and me as Guyanese just looking at it and tackling, because like people saying, oh, Venezuela is not Caribbean, but you consider us Guyanese Caribbean. No, the only really reason we're considered Caribbean is we traded with y'all, right? Like when peasantry and thing was still around and we were planting like crazy, we just traded with y'all, and now we're here.
Listen.
Anywho,
Let's move to the cricket. Let's move to the cricket.
yeah. In terms of Fireball's point with therapy, them old man too proud to go to therapy, my G. Them man ain't going to therapy. Let's be real. They too wrong and strong and too much in denial to go to therapy.
It's true though. It's true, and the thing is, I think you've only got two. I don't even know really what to say to that, because I think you've only really got two options. Option one is you just accept that, boy, this is the way it's going to be now, probably for the majority of my life, and it is what it is. But that's the part that I think people are having problems with. Like, I think some people are unwilling to accept the level of where the West Indies are now. So when they make their arguments about what the West Indies should or shouldn't do, it's never actually based on what the level is right now. Do you get where I'm coming from?
They go off like history and heritage, because even when you look at it now, right, with the two-tier thing that they wanted to do the other day, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a perfect example to use. I think Obama's having a bit of problem with his audio, but I think that's a perfect example.
Yeah. My bad, man.
Yeah, because the arguments against the two-tier thing from Caribbean people ultimately boiled down to basing the West Indies off what we'd done in the past.
What we did for cricket in the past, not what we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's more of it's them looking back at what we once were, and then basing off of what they're comparing of what we are now to what we should be. Well, should be in the sense of how good we were back then, and it's weird because you and I both know we're not as good as that, but they're still in their feelings of, oh, when I was a young youth, and me saying this is a 15-year-old is cackling because I didn't even born yet. But anywho, when I was a young youth, I was this and we did that and we bust up Australia and we bust up this. But like, and that's the thing. Like, we're not that good anymore, but they don't want to accept that. That's the problem, is the acceptance of the fact that Bangladesh are better than us in Test match cricket. Like, you put us against like Afghanistan, Ireland, that man would give us a run for our money if they had their full strength squads.
But you know what the weird thing is? The sooner and quicker we accepted what we are now, the sooner we'd actually rise from it. If you see what I mean. And so instead of like bemoaning how we aren't something, if we just focused on, right, this is who we are. And I think there's a couple people in the chat right now who've said this before. Like, if we focused on this is where we're at, this is who we are, so let's play teams equivalent to our level. So, like, you see how we're not, you see how like Champions Trophy's going on right now, we ain't in it. And obviously we've got the 4-day championship, but I wish they'd scheduled like an A-team tour. No, because we knew from time we weren't going to be in the Champions Trophy. So they could have scheduled like an A-team tour and said, can we go to the Netherlands? Can we go to Scotland? Can we go to a team that's around our level to just develop these cricketers a bit? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yeah, and that was gonna be my point actually before we started the whole political thing. Was how do we obviously everybody knows youth man is considered 30-year-olds in West Indies cricket, right? So the question I would ask you is, I remember I texted you about this when I told you what I would do if I was
Yeah.
in charge and what I would do with CCC, right? How other than that, how do we get men them to develop, because the talent is there, right? It's just the talent development is not there. So how do we develop the talent from them dropping straight out to under 19s and them not being in the wilderness until they're 25? But before you answer that, back to your point of like, it's hard for them to accept that because our name still gets us good people to play us nowadays. Because remember, England and
Yeah.
Australia only play us because people from back then, they still come out and watch it because they're like, oh, West Indies used to be good back then, and they
Yeah.
still go off that heritage. Why do you think there's so many people who come over to the Caribbean when England come here?
Yeah.
Australia, they still get a whole lot of people they pack the stadiums to watch because there's still that heritage of West Indies was once this, and we write off of that, right? But the
Yeah.
thing is, writing off of that makes us think that we belong there when we don't, because we're not to an Australia or an England's level, but because we're still able to get them to come and play us semi regularly, or like how Bangladesh and them has got beg them to play. We think we belong there, but we don't.
Well, this is what sums it up. When West Indies were over here in England for the last tour in the summer last year, so many of the English journalists were saying to me when I was covering it, they were like, "Who's this guy? Oh, who's this?" Like the whole team, basically, they were looking at them, going, "Yeah, but who is this guy?" And that's the frame of reference for a West Indies tour is still to talk about legends, bring on a legend, talk about what this legend did in 1985 or in the early 90s, etc. Even when we were in Australia, when we won the Gabba Test, the people they were using was Carl Hooper and Brian Lara to commentate on the cricket and stuff. There's a whole generation. It's Lara quits in 2007. Yeah, retires in 2007. Since 2007, I don't think there is any other West Indian cricketer that they can talk to talk about the West Indies cricket team. Now, do you know how crazy that is? That they haven't been able to find anyone in 20 years that they can put on a show and say, talk to me about these players. Because there's no one good to talk to. I think Jason Holder will be the next one. When he finally retires, they'll probably put him on TV because he talks so well, and that has connotations in and of itself, right? But that whole like Chris Gale, you'll never see Chris Gale on TV or invited on to talk about the West Indies team, or Dwayne Bravo, or Kyron Pollard, or any of that generation. So the point I'm getting at, Obama, is what are these countries going to do when our GOAT generation, the real GOAT generation, when they all like eventually pass on? What's their reference point then? Do you get where I'm coming from?
They don't have one. It's simple.
Exactly.
That's when we drop down to like be in Bangladesh and begging Australia and England to come and tour us every
Mm,
once in a blue moon.
that,
Anywho, so just to get
you
back to
know,
my point quickly, so I can
yeah.
go and you can get all these other people on. Yeah, how would
You're gone. You're back. Obama's audio's playing up, boy. His internet must be down bad.
yeah
You back?
yeah my internet is also down. But yes, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Anywho,
Yeah.
as I was saying, yeah, how do we get our under 19, or essentially how do we develop them? Because obviously we know there's a West Indies Academy, right? But
Mm,
how do we ensure that them man, as soon as they come out of the academy, they don't just pop out to the wilderness? Because look at someone like who's it, Jordan Johnson, or is it
mm,
Johan? I forgot his
yeah.
first. The a Jamaican reserve team, and my guy is not playing any cricket, and he could be there with like CCC or somebody actually developing. So how would you let's say you were in charge of our domestics? How would you make sure that the young ones get the game time that they need to develop.
So I think and I think it goes to the point you were trying to make to me the other day. I think CCC isn't set up correctly. So CCC, you currently have to have you have to be studying, and I would just take that away. I would say that, or you add another team in, because there's a whole bag of men who aren't studying for a degree or something, who could benefit from playing some cricket, who are probably between the ages of 19 to 25. So if you make CCC so restrictive to just, you have to be studying somewhere, then what about all the other 19 to 25-year-olds? Like, so for example, Truth just put in the chat, where's Ashmead Ned? I don't know where he is. I don't know where he
Yeah,
is. He's
yeah,
not in
yeah,
any,
yeah.
he's
Yeah,
not
that's
in
that's
any
the
of the
thing.
teams right now. Let me pull another name. Where's Christian Kalicharan? He ain't playing for no one right now. Jordan Johnson just sitting on the bench for Jamaica. There's a whole
Even
bag of
Junior
man.
Sinclair. Where's
Yeah,
Junior Sinclair?
yeah,
Where's
there's
all
a
them, man?
bag
Yeah.
of man just playing for nobody. So I obviously it all comes down to money, but if you want to stop losing players just disappearing into the wilderness, add another team. Call it like the franchise reject team, where no one's picked them up for whatever particular reason, and they just become a team.
Yeah, and also put like Kohli in charge of them, Andre
That's what
Kohli,
I'm
because he's good at
saying.
working with young talent.
100%. It can't
Because the
just
thing is,
be
Kohli's gonna be
go.
A team manager, right? What is
Mm,
what is Kohli doing between us hardly having an A team tour? Like, what is he actually doing? Like, put him to use. He's good with the young people. Let him coach them.
good question. Good question. Well, we'll soon know what he's doing. I'm adamant that Kohli's going to get an overseas contract, and then that's when people go, so how did you manage to let him go? Well, what's he doing now then? So
That's
anyways,
the
listen.
thing. Yeah, I guess one more thing before I leave. I remember in the T20 World Cup when we hosted it here, right? Pollard
Mm,
was coach of England. He was,
yep.
and I can't remember if he was, but and Bravo was coach of Afghanistan. Why
Mm,
not come and coach us, man? Why can't we just reach out to the old players and like y'all have seen especially Pollard and Bravo. They have the most experience in T20 cricket, right? Y'all
mm.
have basically seen everything. Why not come and teach our young men them how to actually play proper cricket? And I leave it there because I know you press for time, man. So I'll see you next
So,
week.
yeah, no problem. Catch you next week. Yeah. Cool. Interesting point there from Obama, because it's worth pointing out that Pollard helped England in the T20 World Cup and England got to the semis. Bravo helped Afghanistan and Afghanistan got to the semis. I'm just saying. Now, some people just say, Mash, that's just purely coincidental. I'm just giving you the facts. Anyways, whilst Obama was talking, I had one eye on the chat and it was popping off. I don't know what I started. It looks like it's cooled down now, but I did highlight 3 points. So Errol said the chat is on fire. This is why you must tune in every Monday when I can be bothered to do it, to the Monday Night Mashup. You're not gonna get any other show in the Caribbean that does this. I was saying in the Discord, I think it was the other day, that I genuinely believe Monday Night Mashup should be a syndicated radio show. I cannot believe that nobody has ever I cannot believe that no one in the Caribbean hasn't reached out to me and said, you know what, come host this on a move back. If somebody reached out to me and said, move back to the Caribbean, I'd move back to the Caribbean in a heartbeat. What? Hey, England is a bad vibes country, you know. It's a real bad vibes country. We ain't got no vitamin D out here, nothing. Just pure rain and cold. Real bad vibes, pure Babylon thing. If somebody in the Caribbean reached out to me and said, you know what, come and host this radio show, we'll make it worth your while, I'd move back in a heartbeat. What? I'd move back to Jamaica in a heartbeat. To be fair, I could probably go back to Jamaica right now, but I'm not teaching if I move back to Jamaica. Anyways, so yeah, chat's on fire. Vanetta says this was to Medvis, and this is what I remember why I started this point. I consider Belize as Caribbean as Guyana, not geographically but culturally. Guyana more so as the only English-speaking country and founding member of CARICOM. Now, the reason why I started this comment from Vanetta, I've never actually met a Belizean. I think that's what you call people from Belize. But someone was telling me the other day that people from Belize sound like they're from Jamaica. Is that true? I've never actually met a Belizean, but apparently their accent is the same way how you'd expect to hear somebody from Jamaica speaking Patois. Is that true, people? I've never met a Belizean, so I cannot confirm if that's factual or not. Yet anyone, is there any Belizeans in the CCP community? So yeah, that's why I started that, because I just wanted to make that point about Belize. And then what was the last point? Charlie made this point. Mash was just talking about the lack of a cultural connection that West Indies cricketing nations have from once. Yeah, that's basically my point. That was effectively, I know it sounded like I was trying to cause a political war or geographical war or whatever, but actually the point I was just trying to make is that we don't, or I can't speak for anyone else, I don't have a cultural connection to the countries that don't play cricket. It's not a language thing. It's nothing to do with language. But I think Medvis was making a point about, but I don't know if this was a point that I swear I saw Medvis make some kind of point along these lines. But what have we done? These countries are geographically close to us. Bahamas, Bermuda, Cuba, DR, Haiti. These countries are all geographically close to us. What have we done to spread the game? Turk and Caicos. If we can get a man playing international cricket from St. Martin, how comes we can't get a man playing international cricket for the West Indies from Turk and Caicos? And before people say to me, but Mash, they're not affiliated. Well, make them become affiliated. They're right next to us. All these little islands are right next to us. So affiliate them to Cricket West Indies then. It can't be that hard. It can't be that hard. You mean to tell me that there isn't a cricket man right now in Cuba? Oh, so Cuba's the wrong example to use. Let's use Bahamas, Bermuda. You mean to say to me there isn't a man in Bahamas or Bermuda right now that we couldn't convince to come and play for the West Indies? In fact, Kamal Leverock, I swear he's got a Bayesian passport and he plays for Bermuda. Like, we ain't expanding the ting. We really ain't expanding the ting. Right there in front of us, we ain't expanding nothing. Shane says, when I buck the Eastern Caribbean Galdem at UE, first thing I ask is, do you watch cricket? So wait, Shane, what are you saying? That's how you move to Gal? Do you watch cricket? Thing is, if that's the line that you use to move to Gal, you can't be getting no Gal, because respectfully, if I'm a Gal and you come to me and you say, do you watch cricket? I have to then assume that you're talking about West Indies, and from the minute that's the point you're making, I have to then presume that you're a loser. That can't be the line to get Gal. Nah. Not in 2025. That's not the line. That can't be the line you're using. Let's move on anyways. So let's go to Truth. We've got 2 more callers left for tonight, and then we're wait, what? Hold on. Shane says the gal loved that chat. Okay. So Yui gal loved cricket chat. Wait, what? So all this time I could use West Indies chat to move to gal. Listen, I've said this before. Since I started CCP, the only people I've never once had one gal move to me in my DMs. All I ever get is men over the age of 50 moving to me in my DMs. I get like pure messages in my DMs going, oh, good show, Mash. I really like that. I've never had a gal come into my DMs of CCP, just pure man. Pure old man, you know. And I'm talking about cricket nuff. I'm talking about cricket nuff. Oh my God. All right, let me wrap up this show. Let me do the last 2 callers. Boy, last 2 callers. Let's go to Truth. Right, Truth, how you doing?
Hey, good night, Mash. How you doing? Everything's all right?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good.
Yeah, I just want to make my point quick, but before that, just want to know, shout out the Guyanese because we're celebrating Republic Day today. So, we said one.
Yeah, big up Guyana, big up everybody celebrating Republic Day.
we say Bun, the Englishman, we say Bun Privy Council. So, we celebrate. It's actually yesterday, but, when the holiday falls on a Sunday, we move it to the Monday. So, we celebrating either way.
Must celebrate, yes.
Yes, right. I just want to raise a point quickly because, I was reading that President Ali now is the head of the CARICOM subcommittee for cricket, and this is the first time I've heard of it, and I was wondering what really has it done for West Indies cricket. Not saying that it hasn't done anything, but I haven't heard of anything that it's contributed. So I was interested into knowing what it is doing and what it plans to do going into the future. What is the kind of nexus between the two? Because I really haven't heard anything there. So that's just one thing I want to bring up. Otherwise, I don't want to keep you long because you've been up for a long time. So yeah, that's just my point. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Are you staying on, or do you want me to answer that one?
You could answer it, and if it's up to you.
Okay, I'll leave you on for now because I think you've raised a really good point. So I think so they call it the Cricket Subcommittee on CARICOM. Now, the first thing that I would say, truth, is, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm about to make the chat go on flames again. So everybody who's currently in the chat, and truth, when you return to the chat, by all means contribute to it. The first thing I want to say is, what does CARICOM do full stop? That's the first thing I want to say. And has CARICOM been a net positive for the region? I'm not saying that to say that I think it hasn't. I'm not saying that to say that I think CARICOM is useless. I'm just raising that first and foremost as a question. So before we get to the cricket, which I think is a separate point, the first question I want to ask people in the chat is, has CARICOM been a net positive for the region in general? Has it done enough to justify it as an institutional organization? That's the first thing. The second thing I just want to say off the back of Truth's point, people, is this. There is a cricket subcommittee as part of CARICOM. The three loudest voices on that cricket subcommittee is Mia Motley, obviously Bayesian leader, Irfan Ali, Guyanese president, and Keith Rowley, TNT PM, right? And he's just announced that he's stepping down, right? Irfan Ali is about to take over. This is how I see that cricket subcommittee. They get together, they talk really kind of in lots of platitudes about how we need to save West Indies cricket, how Cricket West Indies need to do better, how we need to bring cricket back to the primary role within the region, and how it connects us together and binds us together, and we've got to do whatever we can to save West Indies cricket. And I listen to that and I hear all that. And Mia Motley is a fantastic orator. Irfan Ali has managed to galvanize and be at the forefront of making Guyana something in the public sphere, in the global sphere, right? Keith Rowley is Keith Rowley. Hear all that. And I genuinely believe that Irfan, Keith, and Mia, I think they genuinely love cricket. So I'm not even criticizing them on that front. But it's easy to speak in platitudes. It's easy to say, we've got to save cricket, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Show me the money. That's all I want to say to that, Truth. Show me the money. Because they're leaders of governments. Rather than tell me that we've got to save West Indies cricket, here's what Mia, Irfan, and Keith could do. Go to private sector investors within their own countries and extract money from them to help West Indies cricket return back to the forefront of the global game. Now, Irfan has done that through the Guyana Global Super League thing, but that helps Guyana. How's that helping West Indies cricket? Okay, and I'm not criticizing. I don't want anyone to get this twisted. I'm not trying to criticize Mia. I'm not trying to criticize Irfan. I'm not trying to criticize Keith. I'm just saying it's easy to speak in platitudes and say we want cricket to return to the glory days and we want it to be great, but I need to see something. But maybe what I've just described is CARICOM's issue in general, which is why I started my point by saying, what does CARICOM do full stop? Truth, did that answer your question?
Yes, that's a good point. And also, it also reminds me of how much, many times, because a big thing in the Caribbean is the commissioning of reports and all these things. And one thing I was proud of, when you did the episode on the governance reforms, what I learned was that these reforms were mentioned in the Webby report, I believe, and they were actually going forward with that. So that's one step in the in a positive direction. But many times you commission these reports. For example, we had the Patterson report.
Yes.
No action happened on that. We commission all sorts of report. That's one big thing in the Caribbean. You commission report, when it's time to act on the report, nothing happens. So yeah, it's definitely I pay more close attention to see if they actually do anything. This CARICOM body does anything for cricket, and I guess we'll keep inspecting and see what's going on. But otherwise, thanks. I don't want to take up much more of your time, and it's already gone late. So thanks for
No problem. Thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Yeah, big up Guyana, big up Republic Day in Guyana. One more caller for today, which is Sherwin. I should just say, before I bring Sherwin on, something I meant to say about that CARICOM point is that I should point out, to be completely transparent, that there are rules about government interference in cricket. So I'm not advocating for governments to get involved in the administration of cricket in the Caribbean, because they can't actually just take over Cricket West Indies and say, and now you're going to do this and now you're going to do that, which is why I think the best way that they can be effective is to go to the private sector within their own countries and say, we need you to get on board with sponsorship and this, that, and the third, and so on and so forth. And that's the best way I think they can play a role. But true say, some people about to get upset when I say this, true say though, people love teeth in the Caribbean. Is that harsh? Is that harsh? You give certain people money in positions of power and they will teeth it, yes? They will teeth it. For those of you who are Jamaican, isn't that the whole point with Bro God right now? He's dealing with people accusing him of fraudulent activity and teething. In Trinidad, certain men have been accused of teething up the cricket money. So this is the other problem you have to face in the region, which is that, and I'm sure this is why private sector don't want to get, well, private sector are thieves as well, but I'm sure this is why private sector man don't want to even get involved in the cricket, because they're probably looking at certain man and going, but you're going to teeth out the money. So I can't hand you no money. This is why I've always said that if I ever won like the lottery, if I ever like bought a lottery ticket and won it in like the UK, I'm not giving no money to it. You think I'm giving money to anyone in Jamaica to fix up the cricket? I'm coming with the money myself and I'm gonna invest the money. I'm not giving that money to anyone to invest because they will teeth out the money. They done teeth out Usain Bolt's money. So if they can teeth Usain Bolt's money, you don't think they would teeth my money? Come on, man. So let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. We also have to deal with the fact that there is corruption and teethism across the Caribbean. So it's a Caribbean Cricket Podcast, people. If you don't like it, log off. I will always call it as I see it. I ain't gonna pretty up the thing for no one. I'm gonna call it exactly as it is. There is pure teething and corruption at the top level of all aspects of government, sport, anything where people can teeth, they will teeth. Simple. Allegedly. Right, last caller. Sherwin, and then I'm packing up, going to bed. This actually is going to be an hour only show. I told you lot. I did say 40 minutes, but it's going to be an hour only show. See what I mean? I was just about to get Sherwin on. So I've just had a comment on that Brandon King video I've done. This is the point I'm making. So this person sent me a comment saying Brandon King has no technique that can make it in Test cricket. Up to now in ODI, all he does is bash the ball. He can't work the ball around. He's not good enough for Tests. It's a waste of money and time to invest in him. I already know that the person who's written this is an old uncle. This is the type of thing I'm talking about. So this old uncle has managed to surmise that Brandon King would be no good in Test cricket. Based on what? Based on what? Like it's like he ain't watching the current Test team, but he's managed to work out that Brandon King will be no good. He says Brandon King's got no technique that can make it in Test cricket. This is why we got to, anyways. Allow me, innit? Just allow me. Allow me. Let me just allow me, innit? Actually, let me respond to him. I'm gonna respond to him and I've responded to him and just gone, allow me. Loud. He might all be watching this show right now. If you're the uncle who just sent me that message, I've just responded to you and I've just put "Allow me, I beg, allow me." Like, Cricket Forum exists, you know. You can go on his show and have these conversations. Allow me, please, I beg. Last caller, Sherwin. Which Sherwin is this again? Is this the Cricket Forum Sherwin? Or is this? I always get mixed up with which Sherwin this is. There's a Sherwin who comes into the comments and talks pure doltishness. I don't think it's this Sherwin though. I actually can't add Sherwin. It says device not connected. So I think Sherwin's internet is playing up. I'm going to give him a couple. Oh, he's gone. He's gone altogether. Sherwin was there and Sherwin's gone. I'm going to give. Oh, he's back. Sherwin's internet is playing up. Sherwin's internet is playing up. He must have Santoki's dial-up Wi-Fi today. I don't know what's going on for Sherwin, but I'm going to bring him on, people. I think he's back. Sherwin, I'm bringing you on. Let's see if it works with Sherwin. Yes, Sherwin, can you hear me?
Mash, it's this Sherwin.
Anytime you ring in, I'm going to accuse you of being the other one. You know.
Listen, it's the good. Maybe I have two accounts. Nah, just kidding. I wouldn't be as idiotic. No offense. So, couple of things. First of all, the geography part. I walked into the middle of the conversation, so I didn't see the first half of the live call. I'm a Spanish teacher. I teach upper school Spanish. So whoever said that the rest of the Caribbean countries and nations and islands are not part of Caribbean, come on. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Haiti, come on. We got to stop joking about this stuff. People are getting inconsiderate by day, and we have to stop this. Honestly, I saw Purin's picture on the live call up, and I was like, okay, let's talk about Purin. And I joined this, and it's a whole political thing going on. What do you think about political corruption and the organizations and all that? That's very much something that you see. I don't want to say third world countries, but the countries with lack of resources is what I want to say. Pakistan is facing it right now. I mean, look at it. They are hosting a tournament. They're out of it. It's my country, but it's sad to see that it happened, and it's the management. I mean, things are bad as it is, politically, economically, whatever the case might be. But it's all trickling down into our departments, particularly in sports as well. So that is something we see in West Indies cricket as well. I mean, and we've seen that for I don't know, for a couple of decades now. So yeah, unless we do something about it, and unless people really start doing something about it, it's not going to change. And I don't think people want to change. I mean, we saw that from the stance Guyana and Barbados had. Well, at least the Cricket Association had. In regards to the government reform, or the reforms that should have been brought into Cricket West Indies. So people sitting up there, the dinosaurs sitting up there, are not ready for that change. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, because then they have to question everything they have been doing for pretty much their lives. That's enshrined in them. So that's not going to change. I mean, look at Conde Riley. I mean, that guy has been there longer than I've been probably born. I mean, I'm 30, God, but I've always seen him there, So, but yeah, I wanted to bring it back to Purin, man. What do you think? I saw your comment on the thing Purin posted. What do you think? What's going on there?
Okay. I think Trinis are probably best to answer this, but what I would say is, obviously Puran's got no cricket to play right now because IPL doesn't start till late March, so it benefits him to play some form of cricket, and if that's 2-day club cricket, so be it. What I would want to see from Puran, he doesn't have to leave for the IPL till probably maybe 2 weeks from now, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I would like to see him play at least one more match. And before people get this twisted, I'm not saying, because I'm thinking about him making a West Indies debut in Test cricket or anything, but I just think it's actually good for him. Like, forget what it might lead to or what might happen and so on and so forth. It is actually good for him to play some red ball cricket in whatever form it might be, whether it's club cricket, whether it's first class cricket, whatever. It's good for any cricketer to go back to actually play some red ball cricket. So I think if we just look at it purely in that kind of metric of, is it good to see him at least trying to just get his eye back in with a red ball? I can't hate him for that. But
I agree with you because, I think he's playing club cricket, the same one that Evan Lewis is playing, if I'm not wrong. I'm not caught up in terms of like local club cricket in Trinidad, but I did see that he's gearing up to play. I don't know if he has already played a match, but it would definitely help him during his IPL stint as well, because you're spending time getting some game time, and they have been, beside the ILCU T20, which recently concluded, but even then, longer format always helps. But I really do hope something changes. But no, who are we kidding? But Brandon King, definitely something I would see. It's a good possibility, and you're right. I mean, the dude is averaging 35, and we have people questioning the place for Solizano, who's only averaging 27, I think, in because I'm in the Facebook forums and pages, and I've seen someone make a case for Solizano because he feels, or they feel they feel bad about Solizano, and I'm like, no, Solizano is nowhere close. I mean, at least Brandon King has the average, the game to show for it. Oops, the timer lights went out. But yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. You can't just pick one and drop the other just because they haven't played red ball cricket in a while. He was on track. So I mean, yeah.
And do you know what? I just want to add to that King point, because I think it was something that I think people lost the Brandon King point in translation, because one of the points I made about it, which I think some people missed, was I'm not saying he must get into the test match team. What I'm actually saying is call him up to a squad, because you at least need to indicate to him you are in our thinking. And the best way you do that is you say, come into the next test match squad. That doesn't guarantee he plays, but at least he now knows I'm in the group of consideration. And my argument to that would be, how does that hurt West Indies cricket to do that? It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't hurt, given that I think it was the series we drew with Australia that he was asked, and Shea was asked to join them, and of course they had prior commitments. I mean, if they had spoken with King probably like earlier, I'm pretty sure he would have dropped that stint with whatever league it might have been. Shea on the other hand, I mean, he has his own thing going on. He's doing well in T20, which is good to see. We could use him. We need him in T20s as well, but I mean, that doesn't take the fact away that he's still one of the better technical players of cricket ball, and spin or pace. So it's just a matter of him getting some time. I mean, he did spend a stint last year, played 2 games, got 90 odd in both of them. That shows that his game is improving. Just come in right off the bat, playing 1 game and getting out, and it shows that he knows conditions better. He's judging them better. He's thinking critically. He's understanding his game, where it's at. So who knows? More to come, more to see when Sammy takes over.
Yeah, well, exactly. Listen, Sherwin, I'm gonna call it there. Just over the hour mark. But thank you for waiting to come on, and 2 for obviously coming on the show in general.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.
Right, cheers.
Remember the good Sherwin.
Take care. Right, people. This actually is the first time I think I've said this show is going to end around the hour mark. It's still actually gone 30 minutes longer than I said, I think. But it's still only actually been just over an hour, which is super quick for me. Just a few points I want to just address from what Sherwin said. Something that I've noted as well when I've spoken about Shea Hope or Brandon King in the past is I get a lot of people in the comments saying, but they can't play the short ball. And I just want to remind people that isn't a valid argument to use. The minute you go down the but they can't play the short ball thing about any West Indian, that's the same for any West Indian player. So there's no use using that argument because you're using that as if there are people in the region that can play the short ball. So that's invalid. And then the other point from Sherwin, and I think it's the right point to end on given the fire I started at the beginning. So Sherwin was making the point that he obviously teaches Spanish. So I actually speak Spanish as well. Hola. People think I'm lying. Estudié español a la universidad porque es posible para mí hablar contigo en español. Por ejemplo, he visitado España muchos tiempos. Santander, Salamanca, Madrid, Bilbao. Sí. Es posible para mí, sí. So I'm not even joking. I did Spanish at university with history. That was the degree I did, history and Spanish literature. So I for those of you who know Spanish, I studied La Casa de Bernarda Alba. That's a big book, you know. If you ever seen that at the theater, La Casa de Bernarda Alba, bad boy book. You should read that. So yeah, and it's really handy. Listen, I always say to students, the best thing you can do in this world is learn another language, because you never know when it can come in handy. So yeah, big up all my Spanish speakers around the world. So that's why it was a big joke. So when I was making, anyways, back to the point. So when I was making that point about no cultural connection with the rest of with the Spanish speaking part of the Caribbean, just to clarify, because of what Sherwin said, cricket ties us together in the Caribbean, probably for the English speaking Caribbean, easier than it is for a lot of us in the Caribbean to connect with the non-cricketing countries in the Caribbean. So I naturally, if I meet a Cuban, or like there's lots of kids in my school from DR, funnily enough. So when I speak to the parents of the DR kids, I'm always speaking in Spanish to them, but I don't naturally see them as Caribbean brethren in the same sense that I would buck up a Guyanese man or woman in the street and immediately I'm like, yeah, you're my brethren. But we are, of course, all geographically brethren and sisterin. But anyways, we can have that debate for another time. Big up people who came on the show tonight. That's been another Monday night call-in show. Yeah, I guess that's it. You know, what have we got planned? Oh, sorry. Yeah, we've got some stuff coming today, this week. So shows to look out for this week. Basil Butcher is coming on later on this week. I think on Wednesday we're recording something on Shiv Chandapur. So we're recording an episode on whether Shiv Chandapur is the greatest Guyanese cricketer of all time. Yep, I'm doing that on purpose. I'm fairly certain people are going to cuss when that comes out, but we're recording an episode on that because I believe that Shiv is the best. Apart from Carl Hooper, I think Shiv Chandapur is the best cricketer to ever play for the West Indies. There, I said it. I know people are going to come for me. Wait for that episode on Wednesday, where I think Shiv is criminally overlooked and underrated in the Caribbean. I think people, because he wasn't pretty, I think people didn't respect what Shiv did. But anyways, let me not give away my gems because I've written out a whole thesis that I'm coming with on Wednesday about that. So we got an episode coming on Wednesday with Basil Butcher about Shiv. I'm doing an episode on the greatest West Indies ODI side of the 21st century. And we got one more thing. What's the other? We got one more thing we're dropping later this week. We've got one more thing that we're dropping. Where's my? We got Shiv. We got Walter Rodney. Flipping hell! Oh, this week's jam packed. And then on Sunday, people, me and my pops, we're doing a Walter Rodney history special, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Walter Rodney history special. I think we're doing that one live on Sunday, so look out for me posting about that one. I think we're doing it live on Sunday, 10 o'clock UK time. So if you're a historian, if you're a Caribbean revolutionary, if you're familiar with the writings and the works of Walter Rodney, look out for that one. That's dropping That's dropping this week. I think we're doing, like I said, I think we're doing it live on Sunday. So look, Caribbean Cricket Podcast in 2025. We've been dropping gems after gems after gems, you know. Gems in 2025. And then here's one, because loads of people are starting to sign off. Here's something that I'm working on. I'm hoping I can pull it off. We got a guest who I think is going to agree to come on to do a show with us. I think we're gonna get Mr. DJ Bravo on CCP. I think we're going to get Bravo on CCP, DJ Bravo. So look out for that. I think we're going to get him on. We're just having some conversations around that. So look out for that as well, people. Anyways, I'm out. I'm going to go to bed. So I'll be Machel St. Patrick hit one half Caribbean Cricket Podcasts. See you all very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.